and I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm eating my breakfast. Anybody has any questions, let me know. So we're live on Instagram, and we'll talk about a bunch of different things. First thing I want to talk about is this. You can see what I'm talking about. So I want to talk about the future of veganism and plant-based eating. Sometimes there's a difference, and there is, right? Because everybody's intentions are different, everybody's aims and goals are different, and they change over time. In my case, I woke up just thinking, hey, I want to be healthier a couple of years ago, and maybe I'll try going vegetarian for a week and see what happens. And every day I started researching and reading and learning, and it became clear to me. It was like running a marathon and deciding to quit right at the end when I could see the finish line. And I'm not a quitter. I'm not. And I remember all the times in my life where I could have quit and I refused to. And I'll give you the biggest example of something I never talked about was when I was in my early 20s, I think it was, and I wanted to use contact lenses, but I had very dry eyes because socially it felt kind of awkward, to be wearing glasses. Everybody wanted to be out, just normal. And there was back then, this is like over 35 years ago or whatever, and there was no laser surgery and all that. And it felt very awkward for me, but I persevered and I found somebody that I practiced enough, and that's the same thing where everybody's journey is different. Let's not judge, right? Let's come to an understanding. Let's inspire people. Like, this is what I'm eating for my breakfast, so that's what I want to talk about first before we get into deeper issues. Is my daily routine, and what you should incorporate when it comes to fruit is eat it on an empty stomach. Now, this one over here is a papaya. And sometimes it's hard to get the papaya to be totally ripe, right? It takes time, it takes effort. So, what I've decided to do was a good trick you can do is you can, first of all, put it in paper bags, right? And put it with, like, say, bananas. Now, I don't know the reasoning behind that, but it can help your papaya ripen. Because the other thing is, some parts of the papaya can start ripening too quickly than other parts, right? You could even get some mold on one side, a little bit of mold on the papaya, and and that's the thing. So in this case, I cut the papaya, and it wasn't totally ripe, and it's still semi-sweet. So I've had it in the fridge. I always try to use the glass porous containers because they're reusable. Avoid single-use plastic all the time. And this is awesome. I'm just enjoying it. So the reason I eat the whole foods and whole fruits, I would say 50% of my diet is fresh fruit, is I get so much more fiber than if I were to juice it. So these are things that you probably might even know, right? But it's worth it to make the effort. So anybody has any questions, let me know. It's a Friday. What am I saying Friday? It's a Saturday, April 4th already. Not April. I'm out of it. It's May 4th. Going to May. So hopefully we're going to get some nicer weather. It's almost at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, May the 4th. Thank you for being here. So I've got some papaya that I was just talking about. It's wonderful. It wasn't totally ripe, but I wasn't going to toss it out. You can always use it for something. And it's not bad. It's still pretty sweet because papaya is a fruit that I eat a lot because I could be an expert on the topic of IBS. So IBS refers to irritable bowel syndrome. basically, if you have any gut issues and they can't really diagnose it, it goes into the category of irritable bowel syndrome. And I've dealt with this issue for 30 years. And the most interesting thing is, I was hoping by turning to a vegan diet just over 3 years ago, it would have helped more than it has for my IBS. So um, that's something to keep in mind. I don't think I'm always mindful of what I need to do for my stomach. Because when it comes to IBS, and some people have related similar types of diseases like Crohn's and things like that, is you're supposed to eat in small amounts throughout the day, right? And that's the main thing. And what you want to do is, um, that's what I'm going to be talking about, eating small amounts a day. But I want to talk about some more fruit. So this is something when I did up. I made a bunch of these, so it lasts me for 3-4 days, which is the fruit mix. On the top, I've got watermelon. In between, I've got banana that I had to use up. It was going bad. And I've got some strawberries to bring in, symbolize spring. Normally, the fruit that I tend to put and marinate, you may have seen some videos about apple cider vinegar, are blueberries, because they tend to be absorb enough of the properties, the immunity properties, the goodness from the apple cider vinegar without going too tart. Because obviously you can't, you know, this is already sheltered by the seed. Because I do my own research and reading, and I know the quality of the water that they use to grow a lot of these vegetables may not be the greatest, right? That's one reason a lot of people, they get salmonella poisoning, right? And I'm going to talk about the fact that that's why a lot of people, they end up trying to grow their own fruits and vegetables. Or it's my dream to go live on a farm. That's what I'm going to see what I'm going to do as well. That's on my bucket list. So I'm finally getting down to the strawberries, which are at the bottom. The strawberries were regular. I mean, these were the huge ones, and you're supposed to be buying the smaller ones, I believe, because I don't know if I think strawberries are highly genetically modified. I don't know. That's the problem with corn, right? Corn falls into that kind of gray area because even though it's plant-based, it's technically not vegan because it's 90% of the world's corn supply is genetically modified, right? And I don't know if the stats are any better now, because that's one of the problems when it comes to vegan tacos. That's why a lot of places that I've seen, they actually do it in lettuce wraps, so they don't have to worry about the corn issue. No, so there's many ways to do it. This is delicious. Honestly, I miss the days when I don't have fruit in the morning. Mind you, it's almost lunch hour now. So I'm going to really enjoy this. But I want to finish talking about some important things. Here's the thing when it comes to Beyond Meat, which is the most well-known, Impossible Burger, and all these sorts of things, mock meats, whatever you want to call it, which they are, and there's different types and categories, is that they're not catering to people that, one, are really more looking for a healthy lifestyle, and they're not catering to vegans. They're in that sort of in between world. You know, like where the corn was, right? Because corn is plant based, but it wasn't vegan because it's genetically modified. And that's the problem with these sorts of mock meats and transitional foods, as they're called, is that they have the same issue. They're not always any much healthier. So people who eat them all day long complain why they're not losing weight and they're high in sodium and they're not any healthier, right? So you have to have real whole foods. And that's what I'm doing, was eating real fresh fruit that I cut myself. There's something so soothing to just take an hour out of my day and cut a bunch of fruit that I can have for the rest of the week. Why can't I go to an airport and get fresh bowl of fruit? Not something that's been like, can look at that fruit and looks like it was cut maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and it's like you can tell it's like you wouldn't want to touch it unless you had to, you know? But when you cut something yourself, you know how fresh it's going to be, because if it's not good, it's got mold, whatever, you can cut it right there, you know? So let's talk about that, the future of that transitional foods, because remember, I'm human. I need some of that variety as well. I can't eat fruit all day long. I can't. As in, where the future of that world is where it's in the frozen food. That's where you get the most variety, because it's true. Less people are flocking to it because they're just considering it a type of diet. They're not thinking about the animal kingdom, the hypocrisy that you live in, that when you love a dog and you can eat a cow or a pig, because you don't have gratitude, you don't have humility to say, hey, that could be wrong. It's just me. But I want to be an inspiration for other people to say, hey, I can change. But I'm not here to tell you what to do. You decide on your own. That's like I decided on my own. I ate meat for 50 years. And I remember when my dad forced me to eat cold cuts and stuff because he thought he was, I don't know, making me more, I don't know, a Canadian or whatever you want to call it. So, what's the last thing I want to talk about? I'll talk about my routine of fruit. There's a very famous book. You know what? I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I got some work to do. But if anybody liked what you heard, if anybody wants to share your own experiences, please reach out. Peace out. I gotta get back to work.